designed this webinar with the former director of SPS. So Conrad, former director of SPS, and myself put together this webinar. We did this like 4 times already on via Zoom. And I can tell it's much more interesting to do this in person, where you can see people, you can interact with people. So I think the first question that I would have, how many of you already have experience of REU? Whoa, what are you guys doing here?
You told us to be here.
I wonder. Well, okay, maybe for 2 of you, sure. All right, well, thank you for coming. And then I will have to draw your experience as well, because that's an important experience to go through. And especially for those students who have never done this, this can be quite challenging task to start in the beginning to go through this process. So it's a little bit early in this season of REU applications. So in fact, I did, after our wonderful game night yesterday, there were so many cool physics words that you guys were coming up with. I did check some of the REU sites that I like to go to. Well, and I'll explain to you my connection to those REU sites. One of those, by the way, we are running a REU site. Let me start with the most important thing. We're running a REU site this summer and 3 years from this summer, which is a REU site in soft matter. Okay, and this is based in the physics department, but it's a strong collaboration between the physics department and Department of Chemical and Biomedical Engineering. So we have 5 faculty from physics, 4 faculty from chemical biomedical engineering. We have 1 faculty from math. And we have 2 strong collaborations with faculty from CASE, 1 faculty from macromolecular science engineering department, and the other faculty from the chemical and biomolecular engineering from CASE. Okay, so I'll talk more about the program later, our program, but that's sort of my personal interest here. But in reality, I do feel that undergraduate research is extremely important. I have been as an SPS president, and before that, before Ron's time as zone counselor, I have been trying to advocate for encouraging undergraduates to do as much undergraduate research as possible at different levels, starting as early as possible. I really believe that this should be an important part of curriculum for undergraduates. So that's basically where I'm coming from. And as I started saying that this is a little bit earlier for this application season, and I checked last night, and basically I could find only 2 sites with specific deadlines, one of which is ours. All right. So you'll notice that I'll be coming up with sort of references to our sites quite a few times. So please forgive me for that. Let's see if this thing will work. So how do I want to start? Now I would like to talk about briefly SPS and sigma by sigma. All right. For those of you who kind of forget or don't necessarily know, there are some maybe faculty in this room who hopefully know what SPS is. We'll definitely have SPS advisors that definitely know what SPS is. But in case we have someone who doesn't, SPS is a chapter-based society. This is very important, chapter-based society. It's really, initiative should be coming from you guys, from students. And the SPS National Office, well, we kind of trying to make sure that things go in orderly fashion, but initiative should come from students. For example, there is an initiative coming from students to include astronomy majors into our statement, was made into our constitution. It took quite a few years, as you can imagine. All those bureaucratic processes take forever, but we voted on this, and now SPS, the Society of Students in Physics and Astronomy, thanks to the initiative by students. So that's what I would like to emphasize. It's a student-based society. So please make sure that you are active in your clubs, in your chapters, astronomy clubs, physics clubs, SPS chapters. And remember that SPS is there to help you with a variety of those resources. Speaking of which, one small aside, we mentioned together with Ron and Jacob yesterday the handbook, SPS handbook. And I personally gave handbook to presidents of a couple of chapters, I think 3, Ohio State, Case Western. I think I gave one to someone in Wooster. But I don't think I gave it to the Ohio University. You have it, right? Okay. And the Mount Union, if you guys want, it has all the information you want in the nice print. So you basically just remind me, it's at the registration desk. We have several extra copies. The same is true with Mount Union, right? We have Lawrence, right? Here. So if you want to bring this to your, did I miss anyone else? If you want to bring this to your chapter, please do so, because SPS has lots of this information, and it's really just the way of finding it. And this handbook is very useful. All right. So our research experience for undergrads. Yes. So there is an important job there in the corner, and the point here that we'd like to make sure that you guys know about those different types of experience, and our focus is kind of about REU, which is typically abbreviation formally goes to the NSF supported sites, right? But we'll talk a little bit more about the SPS internships as well. I'll briefly mention some other opportunities too. So just a little bit of history about REU, right? So REU stands for Research Experience for Undergraduates. The program is actually the oldest running program by NSF. Think about it. The oldest run program in NSF. That tells quite a bit. It was paused for a little bit. I guess formally said canceled in 1982, but then reestablished 5 years later. And so the names changed a little bit, but it has been running since basically 1958. So this is absolutely amazing to think about it. Quite a few generations of scientists faculty and scientists went through this program. So something to keep in mind. Now, there are quite a few sites across the US. The sites supported by NSF just for the US citizens and US residents. So you need to have a green card in order to apply. Unfortunately, those are the rules of NSF. So if you are a foreigner on a student visa, you cannot apply. This is not true about the SPS internship, but with REU, it is unfortunately true. So there are quite a few fields, and we'll go through the website at some point. And the REU website, I'll have a QR code for REU website, and there's a very easy search mechanism there. What I highlight here are sort of some of the fields that I feel you guys will succeed in. So as you notice, there's obviously astronomical sciences and physics on the front side, on the very front row. And this is you have those numbers in the parentheses. Numbers in parentheses mean how many REU sites are active this year. So 37 sites in astronomical sciences and 67 sites in physics. However, back to our REU site, it is based in the physics department, but we are not supported by the Division of Physics. We are one of those material research sites, one of the 68 material research sites. And mostly our students, I would say 72% of our students of the first 3 years were physics majors. So this is an important message to you that if you are a physics major, you don't necessarily have to apply to physics REUs, or if you're an astronomy major, only to astronomical science REU. You should really explore different options. And I'll talk about this in detail as we go. So there's the material research, as I mentioned, the atmospheric geospace sciences, ocean sciences, earth sciences, and all of those REU sites really like to take physics majors because, you guys are known for your problem-solving skills, for knowing all those wonderful physics formulas that you can play hangman with easily, right? So that's something for you to keep in mind. Then, of course, there is this mammoth of engineering. And there's no question, you guys definitely can apply to our engineering side. There are some possibly specific REU sites that you might want to stay away from, but they will make it pretty clear for you when you look at at those applications. Computer information science engineering, right? So AI, some of our sites, we'll talk about one of them today. Mathematical sciences, chemistry, and biological science. Biological science has lots of those. With biological science, again, one might need to be careful, but it's very easy to basically quickly see if you go through the search engine, if you try to put in the things which are of interest to you, it's very easy to figure out what where you don't want to go, where you might want to go. Those are competitive, highly competitive places. Typically, 10 students per year. These things vary. Our side takes 9 students a year. This is obviously authentic research experience guided by faculty. That's an important part. It includes also this community building exercise, where as a cohort, you do things together, and there's quite a bit of professional development, networking and such. So it is designed for students who have no or linked research experience. Now, this is really varies across the spectrum of REUs, but for us at Cleveland State, our sophomore REU doesn't require any advanced physics. We actually try to advertise our REU to sophomores, okay, sophomore juniors. Okay, typically with REU programs, you'll see that if you're a senior, that's kind of late already for most of the REU programs. Okay, but we're really trying to get sophomores and maybe even freshmen, and we have been successful with few freshmen already quite a few times. Okay, so this is very important comment. Seek a majority from outside of the institution. So if you're at a place like Cleveland State and you think, oh great, there is this REU right here, I don't have to go far. Well, experience shows that this is actually not a good idea. First of all, it's not a good idea for you personally, for your professional growth. It might be a good idea if you have a project working on and you close to finishing some great discovery, publishing some great papers, but nevertheless, NSF doesn't really support this. In fact, the formal rule that the more than 50%, I believe there's a 51% cutoff of students should be from outside. But in reality, we got critiqued quite a bit for having in our first cohort of 27 students, we had 6 CSU students, and we really sort of critiqued extremely heavily for that why we're taking all the CSUs, or not only, but so many CSU students, which were really like 2 per year, right? So this is very important thing to realize. Now, this is a very good fellowship over the summer, because while you get money per week, some REUs nowadays pay $650. Housing is provided, so oftentimes, not always. And most REUs include also funds to go to the site and from the site. So if you're traveling to the other part of the country, this will be paid for. And generally, this lasts over 10 weeks of the summer. The dates would vary depending on the specific condition. We'll talk about this. So this is this line on the slide that I actually forgot to update, as you can see, right? And it says that 101 physics and astronomy sites. If you calculate, I think right now it's more than that. There are more physics REU sites now. Now there are also those other research opportunities at the national labs, such as NIST, for example. And we'll talk about through the opportunities available through SPS, as well as the universities. And that's something to keep in mind, something definitely to explore in your universities. CSU is famous for the summer program for undergraduates, not just in STEM majors, but across all disciplines. $250,000 is given by the administration for undergraduates to do research, just for this student salary. And there are many universities who do the same thing. And then there are also companies who do who have their own programs. Okay, so how do you apply? What is the application process? So application process there is you have to describe who you are, right? And there will be some general information about you, what school you're coming from, what is your major, what courses and what type of skills you have. And this is an important part that usually is being asked on those type of applications. Oftentimes you ask to write an essay. So what we do, we basically ask to write an essay. Well, basically 2 parts of essay. One part of essay is to describe. We let students choose among the projects which are available. We have 13 projects, and students need to pick 3 and describe why they think those 3 would be a good fit for them and for the professors who are sponsoring this project. This is one part. The second part that we're asking to write students a little bit about an experience where a student had to overcome a difficulty of sorts, any kind of sort. It doesn't really, there is no specific color or specific idea behind it. Just explain to us any from your experience when you had to overcome some sort of difficulty, and what did you do and how did you deal with that? So that's we find that this is very important in terms of finding helping students to get into REU programs. Resume oftentimes is asked, and then that is a recommendation, right? Now, as you can see here, in this case, I put separately because it's more generic list of things in application would be statement of preferred REU project. So this is actually very important. So in fact, when you apply to the REU, you don't want to say, okay, well, I want to be, I don't know, at let's say Akron has a great REU, at Akron REU, and you don't mention what type of project you're going to do. No, that's it wouldn't go anywhere. It's a not starter at all. So you really have to do your homework, look a little bit at what particular research is involved in, and write about it in your application. Okay, so this is an important slide. So how applications are viewed, and they're viewed holistically. So we're trying to provide opportunities for students of every experience, every type of background, especially students who never had research experience, especially students who come from a university where there is no PhD program and there is no opportunity to join this great lab and work under this wonderful postdoc and publish 5 papers or whatever, even 1 paper before you go to REU. So that's really what we feel strongly about. And this is actually quite a, we were NSF commented really nicely about our effort to do that. So similarly, this is something that NSF likes. Okay, so that's an important statement, I think, and I think it really helps students who come from smaller schools to sort of be on equal footing with the students who come from bigger schools, well-known universities. Okay, but at the same time, we of course invite everyone. So doesn't prevent students from great universities, big universities, to apply and be successful in their application. Okay, so let's see. What do we look for? So, or what they look for, right? So there should be some indication of your maturity, some leadership, grit, dependability, communication skills, ability to explain things, and possibly some experimental skills. And this is, again, we discussed quite a bit with Brad, all of those terms. And, I actually usually prefer not to put experimental skills there because, that's why we're here. We'd like to come you to Cleveland State and a bunch of those great experimental projects where you get those experimental skills. Okay? But again, to be general, it's fair to say that some REUs do specifically look for experimental skills. This is basically the same list, maybe a little bit stated slightly differently. And there's one important link here, link to the guide to grad schools, which actually provides quite a few important hints on how to prepare your resume, how to have a nice statement written. In fact, if you check the most recent Observer, the most recent SPS Observer, which I think we mentioned a couple of times, came out with quite a bit of information about grad schools, right? And yeah, there are a lot of information about different types of grad schools, how to apply to those grad schools and things like that, which seem to have nothing to do with REU. But also there's quite a bit of material about the process of writing a nice resume, presenting yourself really well, showing this maturity, leadership, grit, dependability, and so on. So I strongly advise you to check those out. Now, one important thing that I would like to usually mention in this part is I feel very important that especially in type of research we do in soft matter, majority of the groups in our soft matter, this is a research, right? Research which on something that we're still trying to figure out. And much of this research coming from experimental labs, and research experimental labs oftentimes does not work. And so this is something that you guys need to understand that, yeah, you can do research and then at the end, now we knew that from the beginning. Nothing really, that's okay. That's okay. That's maybe would be bad if you had something at the end successful, but that's perfectly fine to have a project, to have experience where you go through it and it doesn't work out. Because you know why? Because, well, maybe the next year students are continuing the project. We'll actually move it a little bit further and we'll find this, breakthrough discovery that, well, yeah, you forgot to turn this knob a little bit more, or you didn't measure the temperature correctly, or you didn't convert centimeters into inches. This is my favorite topic. Okay, but yeah, so something like that. All right. So, and that's from my perspective, when you apply for a program like this, you really need to demonstrate that, well, you're not afraid of failure. Okay, that's okay. You ahead of time can try to show that, well, all right, that's why we talk about difficulty, overcoming and difficult. That it's okay, that if you experience the difficulty, it's not like, okay, well, it doesn't work, well, forget it, I'll just walk out from it. No, really trying to sort of grind through this, trying to sort of be persistent with things. That is something that is very important. Okay, so in this process, I wanted to the next slide, right? And there are a couple of important suggestions that I'd like to mention regarding the application essay. Actually, they come from one of those articles in the grad school shopper. Okay, and again, we worked on this with Brad quite a bit. So how can you stand out? How can you write an essay which is different? Well, first of all, you should write your essay. Don't try to rely on AI to write your essay, okay? And the point is that, well, I mean, we really would like to see your personality. And that's what really matters to faculty who try to hire students, right? So things we typically you can mention in this essay. How likely is it that you go to grad school? Well, I'll be honest, the REU is designed to help students advance into advanced careers in STEM. Doesn't necessarily have to be grad school, but we're extremely proud to say that 77% of our alumni went to PhD program. We're extremely proud of this, okay? And then so, oh yes, 77, good, all right? So that's something to keep in mind, okay? How interested are you in STEM career? Again, well, if you're applying to REU in physics, maybe you need to show your interest in STEM. Why this specific program? We talked about this. Why this is good for you? Now, the opposite is true too. Why REU is a good fit for this program? So that's something that you really need to show in those essays. Be specific, expressive, and those essays should be really heartfelt. Okay. And I guess what Brad liked to say, you should show, not tell, right? In your essay should show who you are instead of telling a boring story. You should really try to demonstrate it somehow. Okay. Again, check out the grad shopper. They have quite a few cool resources for that. Okay. Who should write a letter of recommendation? Well, obviously you somewhat limited in the choice in your early career as a student, but professors who taught you classes, or possibly if you did a project with someone, well, this faculty advisor who helped you do a project. And the essay should talk about the leadership and the different types of, your recommendation letter should talk about your experience with some leadership, experience in volunteering, employment, and clubs such as SPS and so on. Okay. And the idea is that the person who's writing those should know you well in the academic and or research setting. Okay. Typically, are you required 2 to 4 letters? Career Toolbox is another important source, SPS source available to all of you for free. You can download it. You can scan this QR code. It's in all our presentations. It is also in the handbook, which is outside. So I advise you to get through this. This is a wonderful resource to help you write those things, applications. Okay, we talked about this. So I'll skip this in the interest of time. And there is also connection to the Observer as well. Observer oftentimes has very good articles too. Now, this is the link to the REU site, and I'll let you explore it yourself in a little bit. But what I would like to go to is go through a couple of programs that I like a lot. Okay, so those are particularly, and you can't see this from the very top of the slide, those are programs in physics and astronomical sciences. Okay, so and you can see that everywhere I put the deadlines, and those are typical deadlines. There's only one specific deadline here, is the National Radio Astronomy Observatory. They already put their stuff up, and they already accept applications, and they're right there. You can see a list here. Some colleges are local, so that's one of the idea. You don't want to go far from the state. That's fair. College of Wooster, well, it would be, less than a 2-hour drive. Yes, Tali? And by the way, they have a great REU site. So let me just try. I'm not sure if it will work, but let me try to see if we can get there. Maybe not in this presentation mode, but I'll show you a couple of. So their REU site is amazing because they have been running continuously REU every single year since 1994, I think. 30 years. That's amazing. Okay. Now, the very different idea would be to go to the Brigham Young University, right, in Utah. And so this is what I like to talk about a little bit. One of students from my lab, student who worked in my lab was an REU, one for second REU at the Brigham Young. And so the student was actually originally from Hiram College. And the first year, she thought, okay, great. I don't want to go away from my mom. I would like to be close to family. And so, yeah, Cleveland State sounds great. But the next summer, she realized, well, I would like to explore the country. And actually, I don't want to deal with this soft matter. Yes, I spent summer in Dr. S's lab, and it's so boring. There are, there are no windows in the lab. It's a light spectroscopy lab, and in the summer, sunny summer. Why don't I go to Utah and maybe look in the astronomy? Well, now she works for NASA. Okay, so she went to Utah and had the great experience in Brigham Young University, and experience both research-wise, which really defined her career, but also in terms of free time. She spent quite a bit of time looking at the as a cohort, they would have some activities, and so the main activity that she was most impressed with, they would go to the national parks. One day they went to Arches. Why not? It's close, right? After half day of research, let's go to Arches National Park. I never been to Arches. I would like to go there, and she did. So that's one of the ideas to look at this. Okay, so again, the other thing that the other important REU which is shown here is this university, the REU which is being run by it says University of Michigan / Paris. What does it mean? Well, there are several, I believe 3 universities in Paris that collaborate on this REU, and this is absolutely, it's called Optics in the City of Light. So the idea of this REU, you spend, I think, a week in Michigan, in Ann Arbor, and then the rest in Paris, and working in one of those universities around Paris. And this is great. This is REU actually in optics. And it's that's why the name, and it's a really cool REU where you get experience also a little bit of Europe too. Very highly competitive, but every single REU here, I had some personal experience with someone going there. So again, I know the student who went there, so it's possible. It's not like it's impossible to go. I think the only one that actually I don't have any experience would be the National Radio Astronomy Observatory. But we have a person who went there, and so it's actually great. So yeah, so to give you guys a little bit time to talk about, let me quickly go. I won't really click on this guy on these different sites. I would like to just bring across another important point. Now, again, unfortunately, you don't see the top of the screen there. Because of the Zoom, but those are REUs not in physics, or what should I say? Well, they're in physics, but they're not supported by the physics division of NSF. And but at the same time, those are REUs that take physicists and really love taking physicists. Well, Cleveland State is one, right? It's in the very center there. And if you have any interest, let me know. I'll give you the, we have flyers here as well. But also, Cleveland State is dealing with soft matter, right? So it's basically material science. There is another important material research REU, which is University of Akron. This is a powerhouse. They had a REU there even before College of Wooster had it, and they had a REU for every single year, and they don't have 10 students, they have on average 17 or 18 students per year, because all the faculty there apply for this supplemental funding, and they have 19 students, 17 to 19 students every single summer. And all the students of different majors, this is a polymer science REU, but they take students from physics, chemistry, they take students from engineering as well. So it's a really wonderful mix, and those students extremely successful. Now, one important thing I would like to sort of make a plug for our REU and University of Akron and Kent State. The Northeast Ohio REUs have this tradition of summer research presentation together. We have a symposium together. It's called Northeast Ohio Research Symposium. And we used to also have, well, basically welcome everyone in Northeast Ohio. So we used to work with NASA as well. And there was a REU also at Kent State. And well, Kent State Chemistry, right? It's right here. But there was another one at Kent State too. But basically, those are the programs that come together and the final presentation of REU. So at the end of the REU experience, you need to present your experience, you need to present your research, and this final presentation is done together. So we have faculty from all those universities coming together to one place. In 2019, we hosted here at Cleveland State. So that's one important thing to consider. Ocean sciences, atmospheric and geosciences. I know of students who went from our physics program and went to those REU programs and became, that was really defining experience for them. Okay, so something for you to consider. There is one in engineering, and if you look, this is University of Chicago. This link was sent to me. Actually, no one went there that I know, but this link was sent to me by one of the CSU alums who is at the University of Chicago in grad school right now. And they have a REU in the School of Molecular Engineering. And they really look for physics majors, specifically for physics majors, okay? All right, so that's, we'll skip that. So if you guys want to ask questions about Cleveland State, I'll talk about this in a little bit. And a few words about the SPS internship. So the SPS internship program runs every summer. The specific dates are not known yet. And you can see there is this amount of money that you get, and also different sites which would be hosting the students. Now, this is a list from 2023. 2024 list in terms of sites would be the same, but in terms of number of students would be different. My understanding that Geiselsberg NIST research position, there will be 7 of them now, not 5, but 7. Now, you heard about this already. This is very highly competitive program. You have several research components there, but quite a few components on the science policy, public engagement, education diversity, and so on. So this is the cohort that you see there. Again, they spend the same time together. They do their own work separately, but this is very different from like soft matter REU, where every single student does some research on soft matter. Here they completely cover very different areas, so it's really mind-boggling. So I strongly advise you to look into this, but they have a very early deadline. The early deadline for them is already set up. It's January 15th. So this is something for you to consider if you guys want to go there. So a couple of last comments that I'd like to make, and I know we're running a little bit late, which is okay because we can spend maybe a few more minutes before we get out there to the coffee. So this is actually a very cool site right there. So again, this is provided by AIP, and there are several versions of it, as you can see, and you can basically look at the depending on your degree, you can look up who is hiring physicists. So in particular, you can go to the, let's say this, and I will have to exit this quickly so that I can go to one of those sites. For example, if I go to, and I think really it would be cool to see what it does. So if you go to this AP site, and it says that according to AP, employers who recently hired 3 or more physics bachelors are those companies. Okay, so it's actually, I think, pretty cool. The other one is right there. I think it would be the top one. Let me try to do it here. So this one would be, okay, who is hiring physics bachelors? And you actually can go and see, okay, state of Ohio, right? That's where we are. Well, who hired recently in the state of Ohio physics bachelor recipients? That's a very cool resource provided by AP, and SPS has a significant role in this. So please make sure you explore this. This is more about, not maybe some research experience, but more about future, employment. But that's something that I wanted to sort of end with. And finally, I guess the one last thing that I would like to say here, that there is a SPS job site, which actually advertises REUs. So it's another way to look at the REUs or different job opportunities. So that's something that you want to look at. So I know that, it took some time, and we sort of went for 40 minutes here, and we're kind of running out of time here, but I think it would be nice if you guys could give a little bit of couple of comments, those of you who went through REU already. What would be your top thought, top experience, top suggestions to those who didn't really apply yet, who never actually did, never done this before? So let's start with you, Jacob.
Can I go?
Sure.
Just quickly, because I have to go to my talk.
Yeah. Oh, you can just turn around.
My one recommendation would be start early and apply to a lot of places. They're very competitive.
Okay, that's a good point. Thanks.
Yes. Yes, so I recently did just over summer the National Radio Astronomy Observatory REU. I was very, very happy to be a part of that cohort. They did have like 46 students in it, because they had like 16 in Charlottesville, Virginia, about 8 in Green Bank, West Virginia, and about 12 over at Socorro, New Mexico. Those are the different sites they have for NREO. Really, I would say, just like Charlotte said, get your applications going right now. Get prepared for them, because for me, last year, I submitted 14 applications all across the country, and only NREO accepted me. So it's very, very competitive. And also the essays, make them unique. Do not just copy and paste between them. There's certain aspects of your essay I'm sure you can copy and paste, but make sure that you are tailoring them to each of those REUs, because they will read over the entire thing, and that'll be a big consideration of your experiences, what you've done, your interest. They're going to see that, and going along with that, you don't have to have research experience for these. If they see that you are capable, that you are willing to do the work, and you have good letters of recommendation, they'll take first-time research people. You don't. I applied to a University of Utah, and I had an interview with a professor. I was getting into those later stages, and I covered everything that he's looking for in a student. Experience with MCMC modeling and Python and stuff like that, and yet I didn't get in. So there might be another fit, but just don't be afraid, even if you have no research experience. So apply.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Anyone else?
I think Tali wants to also talk to.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Just make me turn on here. Let me get you on the audio here. Well, can you talk?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. So I come from a small school. Obviously, we only have 5 professors here. And one of the things that definitely helped me during my REU program was doing a type of physics that my school didn't offer. So last summer, I was at Duke University with nuclear physics research, and we don't have that at Wooster. And I would definitely recommend, especially if you're at a small school, getting experience that you won't be able to get at your undergraduate school, especially if, for example, at Wooster, we're very encouraged to get involved with research with our professors, but I wouldn't be able to do nuclear physics here. Another recommendation is don't be too worried about like if your people who are writing you letters of rec are good enough or who they're going to be looking for, especially if you're a first year student right now applying. That's when I started applying, and it was really nerve-wracking looking at it and going, well, don't really have two professors that I've done research with who know me well both in the classroom and out. Don't worry too much about it. I had a math professor that I hadn't even taken a class with yet. I had just like seen her out in the hallways, and I'd worked with her, and I was in the math club and things like that. And she just knew me as a person. So that's also a choice for you. So don't worry if you like don't think you have people to do letters of recommendation. But once you do ask those professors for letter recommendations, be like really clear on when those due dates are and how they should all be submitted. That'll help them. Good luck.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Last summer, or I guess like the summer that just passed, I did the physics REU at the University of Kansas, and I personally had a really great time. And I think like my recommendation for the application phase is like basically what everyone said, but also don't be afraid to like get involved in a field that you don't have experience with either in the classroom or you think you don't really like. Because I'm an astronomy major, and my project and most of the projects at Kansas are condensed matter related. There are some projects in the other in like astronomy and high energy, but it was mostly condensed matter. But I got in and I had a great time learning about something that I'm really like not exactly interested in, but it is still a lot of fun. And I guess like when you're in a program, I guess like really like cherish that, because these RU cohorts, even like the biggest one that Dr. S was talking about, it's like 18, but they're getting applications from all over the country. They're getting 100, 200, a lot of applications. So if you get in, you should really know that you're the cream of the crop there. You deserve to be there.
Yes.
I would say, I read an example of advice of maybe doing a piece of physics that isn't offered in your university. So I did an REU in University of Waterloo in Ontario, in Canada. It was an atomic physics group. But I think the top advice would be to reach so fully out to the faculty if you're possible. If you can convince them that you're interested in there's something they can give you and something you can give them, obviously you need to be, they should be so full because it's ultimately a learning experience for you rather than them. It's not very likely you'll not be productive there, but it's more about learning for you, and they should be so full of that. Otherwise, you're probably horrible advisor. You wouldn't. So reaching out, like I sent an email. I remember when I sent an email to the faculty I worked with, and then it's kind of a very special case because I received a phone call 5 minutes later after receiving the email, and I don't answer phone calls because it's all usually scam calls, and it's a number from Canada somewhere, whatever. And then I go back and I never expected that. So I think it's all really sort of an informal agreement between you and the advisor, that you can contribute, that you're interested. I want to learn from you, and I'll try to do something. Maybe that isn't what you will actually achieve, but it's you're still willing to do something for the group, and you're still willing to learn. I think that is the ultimate thing. And if you're applying for someone who's going to be a really good advisor for you, they're probably going to see that. Otherwise, it's probably not the best thing for you.
I'll stand up. I'm Luke. I was at a national lab, Oregon National Lab this summer, so I'm happy to answer any questions about those programs for anyone. But one thing I wanted to add is, all these technical tips about the application, and we know it's really competitive. And I often felt like it's intimidating. I gotta get everything right and all the deadlines and stuff. And I want to emphasize, don't lose sight about why you're doing this in the first place. Hopefully it's because you're passionate about it and it's exciting to you. And don't forget about that when you're going through the application process and you're searching, because I think having that excitement in your mind, it comes through in the essays, and it's one of the most
important things that any advisors are going to look for, more so than like, oh, did I get every single little detail right to some arbitrary standard? But it's really about the passion. I think that if you have that in yourself as your client, then that's going to come through and everybody's going to recognize that and you'll be successful.
Thank you. Yeah, the one last, so by the way, we I think Ron will make those presentations available, right? Am I right, Ron?
Yes, the recording as well as your slides.
Okay, so the last slide, which I didn't get to because again, a late start, this is the mentioning of the different sites, so I apologize for that, and so that's something to explore. Yes.
I also did a internship at a national lab, the like schooly ones, and I highly recommend those. It's a great experience to be able to go and work at a national lab. I was working with the plasma physics labs, and our school doesn't have plasma physics, but I've really been wanting to get into like working with fusion. So it was a great opportunity to go and like start working with like research scientists there, and I just overall really recommend that.
Thank you. Anyone else? So I think I really appreciate your comments, guys, and I wish we had a little bit more time for that. It's really important to hear from you. Some of the things that were said really resonate a lot. You're absolutely right. What really matters is learning experience. It doesn't matter that you get or don't. I mean, it's good to get something, a publication, but you need to get the learning experience, and you're getting the best, hopefully, recommendation letter from this. Because it's one thing to get a recommendation letter from your professor that taught your class, completely different matter if you get a recommendation letter from someone with whom you worked, who called you and you did answer, his call and you called back later on, and then you spend the 10 weeks of the summer doing research, and and if you impress this person, this is a completely different story. And we as advisors feel invested in you guys when you work with us, when you come out. So actually, the student who, the Optics and City of Light REU, the student who went there was a student who worked in my lab here during REU program, and there was also my student who also this is one of internal REU students who both of them applied to this REU, and I felt that my student from CSU was a better student, academically. But he didn't get in. The other one did, and the difference was, as was said several times, the way they approached to the essays. On paper, my student was way better in terms of grades, classes he took, experience. He had already publication at the time he was applying, but he just generically wrote, "Yeah, I'm interested. Please take me. I did this. I really love optics, and I would like to see Paris." Basically, it. And he didn't really show, who he is. And the other person did put an effort, then got in. So it was really good. All right. Thank you, guys.